late game hero. And I still think even with Meepo, Void is that hero. But I think NIP could... I'm going to go with the faster paced team. I actually think they're going to win this game at 25 minutes. I think this Meepo Spirit Breaker with Ion Shell is going to be just... How is Void or Storm ever going to farm in lane?
That is true. I mean,
you can't.
Tsunami, you tell me.
It's not going to happen. NIP did beat Alliance's Koikfa Storm Spirit at the minor with a Meepo. But this is LGD. This is maybe Storm Spirit.
Maybe.
This is a faceless Void against Meepo, bro. Come on.
It is?
I'm going LGD.
Okay. I think it's gonna be a lot like the last series. Like if NIP doesn't win by 25 to 35 minutes, well, your timer's kind of off, and this Void and Storm are just gonna run over you. But I will go with the quick draft because I've been saying quick wins games.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen. All right, we've got a lot to talk about here. It's very rare late in this kind of game and this kind of pressure in these majors to see these unique picks. Today, NIP is bringing it. We are about to go to our casters right now and see what will win over, creativity or just a whole bunch of skill. Well, let's find out. Casters, this one's all yours.
Analysts are saying that speed is the name of the game. We'll see whether or not that's true, as LGD certainly have a slower lineup. Blitz, what are your thoughts?
I really like the Meepo pick. I think he's good against Void because you can't time walk. He's good against Storm because you can't roll. Same with Sanking, right? I think he's good against all these heroes, actually. Bane doesn't really do anything.
LGD, gold, ninjas, regions, game 1.
Back into the draft we go. Apparently it's Ninjas in Pyjamas and LGD is not quite ready to go, but it will be soon as these two Titans match up against each other in the Gladiators Arena. Blitz, you were saying your thoughts about the draft. Who has the advantage?
I really like the Meepo pick. I think that it counters most, if not all, of the lineup. The Bane doesn't do anything. You'll always be able to stop him. Same with the Nature's Prophet. Like, you can deal with this split push. I think that LGD is, like, the favorite for me, but I think that NIP have outdrafted them. And I feel like that's been the consistent theme, is NIP... I felt like they outdrafted EG last night, too. Like, they've got good, consistent drafts leading into this game, so we'll see what happens.
Do you think... would you go so far as to say is that the draft has carried them to their current position in this major, or do you feel like this team actually has enough tier 1 players to be able to match up against the best?
I think it's both, but I also think that PPD right now he's like come back into form. I mean, PPD's ability to take these like random players, not random, but like this random mishmash, players that you might not necessarily think will work together well, and he just sort of like brings them to this level, I think is really impressive and should be commended. I do think this Meepo pick, though, was brilliant, and we'll see if it's able to make up for what I think is the difference in skill that these two teams might have.
Yeah, I mean, we should point out, like, you're saying, like, it's a mishmash. Let's just be a little honest. Like, some of these players are just straight-up rejects, right? Team Secret rejects, Liquid rejects, and PPD has managed to forge them together into an incredibly strong team in Ninjas Pyjamas. And I love what you said on the panel, by the way. I heard it, and I totally agree with you. I think people are underrating Nip.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that because, you know, they're a bit of a meme team, plus, like, they didn't even make it to the major. So I think a lot of people probably skipped out on Dota Pit, but they were fantastic there. They were real dominant looking. I think that they're a force to be reckoned with, and they're going to show that they deserve their place in the DPC standings with this.
Looking to follow Vici Gaming in their footsteps as a run through the minor into the major.
I will say, though, victory. It's a hard ask considering how good I think Psg Lgd is.
2 bounty runes apiece here. We're going to have a classic combination, but one we haven't seen a whole lot of lately. Spirit Breaker Darkseer.
Yeah, it's just a combo that we don't really see because most Darkseers don't really need the help with the Spirit Breaker. Oftentimes he just cuts waves, so it doesn't really impact anything from in the long or short term. The combination of Ion Shell +1 though is always strong, as we saw in the previous series. Like the Ion Shell sped up Nyx Assassin that set up for so many kills.
Yeah. They didn't actually get the, most of the time when you set up with this combination, you do it a lot earlier in the lane setup.
Yeah.
And you're able to get the full wave of creeps killed before they get to the tier 1 tower. They actually missed out on that and missed out on some experience as well.
I want to say that for PSG Lgd, they are probably thinking about this game like, we have to start all the fights. You can't allow this meepo to just get on top of your 2 cores. I think that's how you lose this game. As the crowd, everyone's cheering for a bash. It'll happen, guys.
Starts things off with a hearty one. Him, 33, and Peter will cut all the way back here into the tier 3 area and should be able to secure themselves level 2. And if Xnova's not careful, he may be victim to these level 2 heroes now. Our mid lane matchup is going to be the Ember Spirits versus the Storm. Blitz, you were saying before we went to... before we were out of the draft, that you thought it was a hard Storm game.
Oh yeah, I think that Spirit Breaker's really annoying because he keeps vision of you at all times when you try to do zip tricks.
Yeah.
Plus he just has like a gap closing stun. They're playing against a Rubik, which I think is a tankier support than you realize. He's got an instant lift, and he can steal your ulti. They're playing against a Darkseer, who's also just very tanky. And then to top it off, that was before I saw the Meepo pick.
Yeah, and Meepo's going to make Storm's game possibly quite hell here. As see Nipper just trying to do the extra bit of efficiency, farming up some neutrals as well.
What I would like to see is PPD make the rotation into mid. You get this Ion Shell level 2 early on.
A bash for a bash, it seems. Ame gets some damage on Peter Pandam, who Ame's also pulled over some creeps into the neutrals, just trying to do any little trick he can to offset this Darkseer, who's always pulling away. Ace, meanwhile, playing out this bottom lane as a side lane Meepo instead of the classic mid Meepo.
What I'd like to see is Sand King just follow around. Have FY just follow around this Meepo. Don't let him do his stack shenanigans and farm out neutrals. I think this is probably the one way that you can win this game is to slow him down or always start the fight on him.
Yeah.
Like if you catch out the Meepo, Chronosphere plus the AoE that they have is going to be enough damage to get the kills.
Charge finally comes through, bailing out 33 here. You see the FY, that pull earlier. I believe that was an early pull just to make sure that the pull, when it comes back naturally to the camp, you wouldn't be able to re-pull it fast enough to be able to get a stack out. One bash. Xnova though. I mean, it's a pretty hard hero to kill. 3 seconds till the charge out, Peter. It's not really looking for kills here. It's just looking to assert his dominance.
As you see the Sand King continue to just mess with the neutrals, pops the Sandstorm, and bottom lane, not bad really for either side, is the Meepo doing a little bit worse than the Nature's Prophet, but still keeping relative pace, and it's this mid lane that is being dominated right now by Maybe. 25-7 to the 15-1 of Ember, and they're going to want a good start. If you can get Maybe online real quick, get him aggressive, then I could see him winning this game. And I do agree with the panel's assessment that the later this game goes, the better it is for PSG Lgd. Spada's going to take the rune, needed that quite badly. And this is just a lane that I think Ember will struggle in anyways. Storm has multiple ways to break your Flame Guard. The attack damage that you have is quite nice. Trading right clicks isn't really a thing. Plus, a lot of Ember Spirits don't really go chains anymore, so that offensive potential that the Ember Spirit used to have isn't really there anymore.
Vada, though, is going to go for it here. Goes a 1-1-2 build. We're going the maxed out slight build that we see from so many Embers. Is going to be able to get a chain, start things off. On to Maybe, has a level 3 Flame Guard, so he can tank a lot of this magic damage and still have that damage over timeout, but that close to the tower and that many spells being used, does actually lose it. Tries to go back in for another slight chains, but misses it this time. Charge in, 5-minute bounties. They're going to be picked up here by Nip. And Peter will be able to get out. So good interception there. That means Ninja's Pyjamas will walk away with 3 of them.
Got to be a little bit careful there. Just because Void plus Bane trades out so well. That's part of the downsides of Darkseer is I think that you're going to give every safe laner free farm. That's always the trade with Darkseer as an off laner. It's, yes, your team fight is so good. You have really nice natural skill set for team fighting, but the downside of it is always going to be free farm is they make the move
Back
on the
in. Fada has a flame guard though. That's going to protect him a lot, but they still have some physical damage to charge in with the telekinesis underneath the tier 1 tower. Maybe does have one last jump away, and he needs to make it soon because the Fate Bolt almost finished him off there.
He really pushed that to the limit.
Yeah.
If he gets bashed there, I feel like he dies, but risks it anyways as PPD going to pick up the Invis rune in front of Xnova. Looks like the Storm most likely going to have to go back, and that's indeed what happens as Chalice instead takes this lane for the time being.
And Chalice, his game hasn't been the greatest, 25 and 16.
I think you go bottom right now as Storm and getting Kiss Meepo.
Yeah.
Kill him with FY. Yeah, you have to slow him down. So what you do is you kill him with FY, and then you come over with FY into the jungle to make sure that he doesn't just do the recovery stacks. Because I feel like a support replaces the Meepo. Meepo goes into the jungle, and if you're Sand King, you just follow him around. As FY, I mean, he wants the Storm to come down here. Ace, the sick timing would be if Ace avoids this by reading, because
they're going to go for the pick off on the Soxa instead of the Meepo here. They will be able to get that kill pretty easily. That's going to be your first blood. But that does mean an early warning for Ace, and he'll bring one Meepo out of there.
I feel like if it wasn't first blood, they would have gone around.
Yeah.
Like the long way. But because it is first blood, well worth it for him. But he needs to pressure down bottom, then FY needs to go to the jungle right now. And I imagine that's what he's doing.
Trying to get the last hit on the Centaur, does get it. Ame's done pretty well for himself, considering all the pressure of a Darkseer Spirit Breaker lane. Top of the CS board. That's pretty good. We do have the Spirit Breaker charge coming out. Headed towards Chalice, bumps through FY in order to get on top of that Fury on Ace. Thinking about going for the kill, but they think better of it with maybe being such a threatening force.
A lot of damage on that tower, though. They want to try to take that bottom tower, sweep the Meepo out of bottom lane, force him into the jungle, take that mid tower next, and just put pressure on the map, because Psg Lgd know you can't give this Meepo a free game.
Trying to pursue with the remnants here. FY misses the burrow strike thanks to the slight of Fada.
The DD rune at top. This is a kill rune for Storm. That's why we see Soxa coming in. Can Xnova stop it?
Oh, managed to get the deny on that double damage, and a bash on maybe prevents him from being able to capitalize on that position. He'll pull back in with a burrow strike as well. He does have a remnant out. They're not going to be able to burst him fast enough.
Well done by Soxa. You give Storm that rune, that's probably going to lead to a kill somewhere.
Especially since that Meepo is beginning to do his jungling shenanigans as 3 Wraith Bands and Treads. Going to be up to Nip, the other 4 members, for them to be able to create a lot of space for this Meepo. Especially with all the pressure that is coming out from LGD. As you can see, 3 heroes are bottom right now, smoked up. They are going to be able to find an initiation onto the Spirit Breaker. They need to be able to burst him down, not let him get the charge away, and that's where the Wrath of Nature comes in. With a pickup like that, that could be the tier 1 tower. Sure enough, Ace is going to get out of here. And now they're going to make that sweep that you're talking about. Try and limit the jungling as much as possible.
Yeah, and it's just concerted effort because lineups like this I think are always really cool because there's like very clear win conditions, like really clear, and both teams instantly recognize it. For an IP, it's make sure that your Meepo gets like 2 items and you'll be fine. And he's going for an E-Blade, I think, which is really smart. That's going to be his counter to the Void when he does get chronoed. And if you look at LGD's lineup, a lot of it is physical. Being able to just E-Blade up one of the Meepos, just have to survive that initial burst onto Ace. Get really aggressive on the map, gank Ame as many times as you can. As Fada continues to have a little bit of a rough time.
It is bolstered by the fact that Nip keep on getting an advantage when it comes to the bounty runes.
What I'd really like to see is for them to smoke up right now with their Void and come into mid lane. the Nature's Prophet can TP in, FY can smoke with you, or something like that, and you just take this mid tower. Once that happens, you'll get a really good control of the jungle camps. Like, I think Ame, once he gets really anything, he just makes the rotation over with the supports.
Part of the problem, though, is it's hard to leave that top lane without somebody knowing, because the Darkseer is always pushing it in.
That's why I think that Chalice could make the move up there. Normal TP up there, save your Nature's Prophet teleport. Then when they go for the move onto mid lane, everybody come in. Like, I really want to see Ame smoke or take a fight towards this mid lane.
Even just using the Chronosphere at this point might not be a bad idea. He's got the Mask of Madness, got plenty of farms. Storm thought about coming up to this top lane, returns to mid because Siege Wagon is pushing in. Our Rubik is now level 6. Stolen Sandstorm. Looking to me, it's a pretty quiet game so far, 2-0. 11 minutes in.
Feels like there's nowhere really for anybody to gank in. This is the odd game where everyone's comfortable with the pace. Because I think the two cores on LGD are really happy to just farm like this. Ame is probably telling his team, like, guys, I've got absolute uncontested free farm. But so does 33. He's already got a Vanguard. He's quite strong himself. The Meepo is well on his way to an E-Blade. Just a weird game overall for this. Probably the only person that's not really satisfied with the amount of farm that they have is this Ember Spirit, as Saksa. This is why you pick Rubik against the Sand King, is you'll almost always steal something good, and it's usually the stun.
I'm sure Peter's not too happy with the pace of the game either. Maybe his allies are, but playing a Spirit Breaker in this kind of game where there's no ganks available for you, it's going to feel pretty bad. Burst Strike on through. Saksa does have a TP scroll. They don't quite have vision of him with the Sprout, but by process of elimination, they're going to find him eventually here. He has another Burrow Strike to be able to get through these trees. Does manage to hit him with the Burrow Strike coming out from FY, but now he blows that teleport scroll and gets away scot-free. Well played.
Just wasting a lot of time here. They still haven't used Chrono, and I feel like this is a bit of a mistake. I'd like to see them make that move towards mid so that maybe his game can be opened up too, and he doesn't feel like he has to consistently sit here. But at the same time, I really understand it, because you're getting so much farm on this Void.
Yeah.
But I just kind of feel like this Meepo is going to get scary. But Ame's already a good measure of the way, like 2/3 of the way to his BKB, which is also the Meepo counter, and he hasn't been touched either. It's just really odd. Like, there's no sense of urgency on either side to do really anything. And it's rare when you see that, because most of the time, I think both teams sort of look for stuff, but it feels as though maybe this is just how Meepo games go, right? It's hard to judge his relative strength, as they're going to make the move on to Fada.
Teleports are going to be coming in. Fada is able to dodge a lot of damage with the Sleight of Fist, as well as the Flame Guard that's now worn out. The Remnant, he actually comes back into it. Gone into mid, but he's going to stick around here bottom lane. The Storm Fury won't be able to get that kill, but Storm is heavily committed for this one, and Ace is going to be able to take advantage of that one, keeping him netted down. A trade-off between the two mids, and honestly, ignoring the fact that Fada maybe could have gotten away there, that trade-off is worth it for Nip, right? There's a big net worth difference between a Storm and this Ember Spirit.
Yeah, maybe he was going for an outplay because he knew his Meepo was coming.
Yeah.
And he thought he'd be able to survive like one more hit, and he thought that was like the max he could bait. But still worth it overall for them. Just feels like it could have been a one for none.
Burrow Strike Epicenter, they found the Meepo. This could be a really big kill, but they can't let him just poof away like that. But they didn't have any disables to stop him, so he pretty much takes no damage and is able to continue farming. And that escalation, you could see him. He's now eclipsing the Void when it comes to net worth.
That was a pretty interesting move by FY. They had to have known that he had one more Meepo out there. And it was only the Nature's Prophet that was in the area. You're not dealing 1,300 damage to that Meepo with just your Epicenter as...
Dane's telekinesis, the charge completes. He also has the ultimate, the vacuum, holding him in for a little bit longer, but didn't have it. Looks like the Spirit Breaker, he'd already used his ultimate earlier, so they were just flat out of disables.
Yeah, and 15 minutes in, we still haven't seen a Chrono yet. As I guess Ame... We'll figure out if this was the right choice or not, to just go for the pure farm. E-Blade finish up on the Meepo. Hood of Defiance on the Nature's Prophet. Looks like he wants to go for the Pipe, which I think is a really good decision considering all the magic damage that comes out on the side of NIP.
Certainly helps some of these. I mean, both Storm and Void, two of those heroes you want to be able to burst down real quickly. That Pipe could just make the big difference here. Ame will be able to help protect Chalice as he's going for this push on the bottom tier 2, but X-Nova, he's done this so many times. X-Nova, I feel like this is a specialty of his on these disruptors and banes where he's positioning himself always hiding in the trees to be able to get behind people and be able to set up for a kill like this. Managed to get a Nightmare onto the Rubik and helping to be able to kill this Ember Spirit. Still locked inside that E-Blade. The Ghost Scepter is going to be able to help the E-Blade out from Ace. Is able to save on his life for the time being. And Ame can't quite catch him. They're going to leave the Bane behind. Stormtear really wants this kill though. Fada just can't get anywhere as the Remnant is still down. And now the Void has been caught though. Ace is able to make sure that he's locked down long enough to be able to get that one kill. Now Chalice and the Stormtear may need to get out of here. Storm's sticking around long enough. Man, look at that charge. Woo! Peter Pan Dam nailed him. What a great fight there for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
That was the first chrono expended of the game, and that last second save, it made it so that maybe he had to commit so much mana as Ace going to run into FY, but FY just turns right back around. And yeah, once your cores get netted, that's just what happens. They're going to have to wait for the next timing now, which is the BKB on the Faceless Void, before they decide to take these fights. And, I mean, more than jumping the Ember, you have to use that chrono for the Meepo. The time for jumping the Ember, I think, is gone. Like, he doesn't really have any farm. Now this is what happens when you play against Meepo lineups, is the easy Roshan. If you're Psg Lgd, you need a way to be able to stop this because your all-encompassing spell, the Chronosphere, now is made useless by the Aegis. You'll trade the Aegis gladly for the Chronosphere usage. As Ace, with an Aegis up, now he can play fearlessly. You have to use some measure of ultis to be able to stop him as they're going to go on to FY.
Gotta pop the dust just to make sure that Sand King has no way to be able to disjoint this death. 5-5. Ninjas in Pyjamas off of picking up the Aegis can now take some objectives. Will secure a much larger net worth lead than they currently have. The Blink Dagger is there in the stash as well of the Meepo, flying its way out.
I think you have to swerve now. If you're Psg Lgd, the game plan has to now be about splitting and farming. The time for fighting against this Meepo, this is where he's by far the strongest. He's got a 16-minute E-Blade dagger.
Yeah.
He's level 15. He's got an Aegis. You really thinking about fighting him anymore?
So Psg Lgd, a lot of this game is now going to be on Chalice and how well he's going to be able to split push, but it's tough. Up against a Meepo who has a significant amount of presence all over the map. They've caught the Sand King, able to use that blink, reveal it here to get the pick off on FY and help secure this tier 2 tower, but Chalice is still trying to push out bottom. Same goes with the Bane. But against a Spirit Breaker Meepo, that is going to be difficult. Ember, too. A lot of global presence.
Yeah, now your BKB timing is encountered because you have the Aegis. If you blow the Chronosphere here and you end your 10-second BKB and you lose the fight, I think the game becomes real rough. And Ace, I mean, might want to just go high ground to force everybody back. Depends on how strong he thinks he is Nature's Wrath is going to come on in, and instead they are going to back up. They were just trying to force heroes back. It's PPD on his way towards that bottom lane, wants to try to catch somebody.
Chalice is able to teleport away. He's going to have to be very wary of the positioning of the Spirit Breaker whenever he tries to go for one of these side lane pushes. Pipe almost done for the Darkseer. Talk about the sustain of this lineup. They're able to make their initiation here, but the BKB is activated by Ame almost immediately. And you could see he's not willing to go for the Chronosphere to take away that Aegis.
Yeah, it's not worth it for him at all. And now that's a 10-second BKB charge. Popped. Your Void, who's your strongest hero in the game, doesn't feel comfortable fighting the Meepo. The timing's changed. Wait for the Aegis to expire. Go for a smoke. Get aggressive. You can't just be forced into popping the BKB defensively like that. Psg Lgd have to be the aggressors if they want to win this game, which is why I thought it was so weird that they decided to slow down the pace of the game. Considering against Virtus Pro, they were willing to play so fast-paced. and this is most likely going to be Chalice's head as
They're just going to get picked apart here so many times.
it's going to pop the pipe, but he is charged.
Just kind of the sacrifice that has to be made.
He's pretty tanky.
He certainly is with that pipe build.
Downside for NIP is that Fada's game has still struggled quite hard. He just, with a Meepo on your team and a Darkseer pushing in lanes, you're sort of just relegated to like third tier, I'm going to farm the jungle.
Right.
And they don't really need him to set up for kills. BKB's back up.
What point do you think that LGD can start taking fights again? Is it just waiting out the Aegis?
Yeah, I think that until they have Aegis, you sort of have to just give NIP whatever they want, and that's exactly what they're doing. Once they miss that first timing window with that fight at top when they try to kill Fada, the game just sort of changed. But NIP, they still have Aegis for a full minute. They might want to take advantage of this and put Psg Lgd into a do-or-die situation here.
We've seen plenty of these early
This is going fast. They need to come back.
Go terribly wrong, and a few of them go quite right, and it looks like Nip are going to show some discipline here to be able to back out, not finishing up that tier 3, instead going for the kill on FY. Now FY not having a bro strike up, one more second, but it's a second too late as Ace claims his head, and once again,
It looks like they want to go for it now that the big threat of the AoE is down from the Sand King.
Radiant's top tower is
That's one of their main team fighters. Realistically, it's like one of two long-range stuns that they have aside from the Bane.
well, it's not dead for long, and a Storm Spirit is playing around his base, even if it's a little bit early.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Aegis is fading, and IP should just back up, take shrines, wait for the next round of Aegis to come up.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Wrath of Nature stolen by Soxa. That's
Dire's top
one hell
tower
of an
is
ability to
under
pick
attack.
up. Especially with the increased damage that a Rubik is able to deliver. 4-man smoke up from LGD. It seems like they're done letting Nip control the pace of this game, especially with the Aegis now worn out. LGD needs a big win here.
You can't let them just cycle through, farm for the next 3 minutes, get the next Aegis, and then end the game on you. Because Meepo will do that. You have to take some sort of fight. They go for the smoke. They're going to run into the Spear Breaker, who is like the worst case scenario that you run into.
Yeah, the lowest net worth hero on the side of Nip. And certainly not a way to be able to start a real engagement. Fada has now got his Maelstrom, so he's beginning to recover now that he's got that farming item. He should start speeding up his net worth a bit more. But a full-out Scotty almost complete for this Meepo. And you're just going to get to a point, you just won't have the damage. I mean, LGD's lineup is not the... It's not really where their forte lies. Epicenter is kind of okay, but now we've already got the pipe on the side of Nip. It's not going to do that much. The Storm and the Void, neither one does tons of damage right now, and that's also been a classic problem with Furion as well as a core. 3 heroes that all need to scale a little bit later into the game. While Nip, I mean, it's 8-6. They've got a 6,000 net worth lead. And they can just finish off. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. They could just take the tier 1, tier 2 bottom.
And even PVD is getting in on it right now.
Yeah.
He's almost got Vlad's. Compared to the 5 position of Psg Lgd, X-Nova, a very good Bane in his own right, but only rocking boots at this point. As Roshan, that's the next target. They'll do it very quickly.
Chalice had some aggressive vision down. Ooh, will be able to get away.
And now he's changed his build too, going for the Maelstrom. This is all in, hands on deck. We're trying to kill Meepo.
Trying to get any sources of damage done. Chalice always being able to push in that bottom lane. The Orchid reveal here from Mavia, and a really big pickup on Fada. There's going to be Peter here. Thanks to the surge, the charge happens pretty quickly here. He's going to blow his ultimate, just trying to control up maybe, but he does die. And the rest of Nip are not going to follow up. Looks like Peter either, maybe he got there too quickly. That surge actually getting him a little bit out of position.
And Fada's going to be careful.
To join him.
He's the one core right now that is liable to die.
Yeah.
The other ones are quite tanky. Full Crimson Guard plus Pipe on the Darkseer. The Meepo's got a full Scotty. Like Fada, I mean, he continues to really struggle in net worth in this game, well behind all the other cores. I mean, when it comes to the 6 cores in this game, he's dead last.
It was once a 6,000 gold lead. LGD is eating into that a bit. Those 2 pickoffs. Also, it seems like they're just
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
out-farming them and like, when it comes to efficiency on neutrals and stuff.
Yeah, I think now is the time to be patient. I think earlier they should have been aggressive, but since the Aegis happened and all that, and the failed chrono and the BKB that was popped, you just had to just walk around farm for as long as you can. Because you want to get to a point where the Meepo can't 1v5, which I think right now with help he can't. Like, they just throw out disables and hide behind him on NIP, provide him with auras. Like, he can kill 3 cores by himself.
Nobody willing to force a move. Just these small little feints like Ame here in the mid lane, pushing into the tier 1 tower, but is not here to start a fight, that's for sure. Most of his team is busy farming up neutrals right now. He's just there to take whatever farm he can away from Nip, and maybe in the process force them to group up as they're going to try and go for the illusion here. Wasn't really sure which one was real.
Meepo needs a Hex before they can kill this Void again.
Ame is really able to play quite bravely because of this early BKB choice.
But they might run into...
But the Storm Spirit and Chalice, they cannot be nearly as fearless, and that's why they're going to back out of this top lane. Chalice barely doing so in time.
Nice ward vision too. It's going to spot this the entire way through. As Psg Lgd is doing a good job of sort of resetting the momentum and slowing down the game. And in fact, they're going to catch Fada. And every time he dies, it slows down the timing, like, of the team. They just can't do anything without him. They don't feel comfortable taking a 4-on-4. I think E-Blade actually temporarily helps out the Nature's Prophet.
At least they're going to catch him eventually here, so that trade-off. Oh, they're going to go for the Chronos here. Blood, a great Sprout is actually going to be able to protect in the epicenter to follow this one up. They're going to be able to blink in. Throw strike. The Meepo is still plenty tanky, but they're trying to focus it down. Long jump in from maybe won't be able to wipe it out. The Meepo gets popped just like that, and Nipper on full retreat. Whatever heroes can get out, trying to get away, but Rubik's already been caught. That's 3, make it 4. The Spirit Breaker gets nightmared up, so they have a way to be able to stop him from charging. They just have the burst damage. That's all they need. LGD.
Now they should roach. They should roach themselves. This is their big opportunity. If you take Aegis away from NIP and DD right in front of Ame, the situation, the conditions are perfect. That long zip in from maybe with the execute. They had to blow everything on that Meepo, but it was worth it as Ace buys back.
Oh, the vacuum, 3-man vacuum looked nice. No follow-up, though. They are going to be able to get the easy pick off on X-Nova.
And now it's NIP that walk into the Roshan pit as Bane instantly buys back. They know there's no chrono. They know there's no epicenter. NIP want to try to take advantage of this timing. They bought back on 2 cores just for this.
They don't want to go into the Roshan pit. Instead, they're going to surge forward and catch the Bane again, who died back. And now it's going to be 4 versus 5 when it comes to defending that Roche pit. Nip trying to find the next initiation. Peter actually canceling his charge there, thinking he was getting out of position. They just return to the Roshan pit, where Ace seems to have things in full control, but the Storm Spirit, he's TPing onto the shrine right now. All they need is the vision for the trees to give him some sense of timing. Ame's going to come in. Now the jump in with the BKB. They're trying to activate, but the Piper Crimson Guard is the Aegis. The Aegis, he gets in on the Storm. Massive, but he does immediately fall. FY, he's going to be surrounded as well. Can they manage to get Chalice on top of that? They are going to be able to bash him with a vacuum follow-up as well. Chalice goes for a second round of teleport, but there's going to be the nets for the Meepo. The charge on through. Oh, actually popped up. No, they do manage to get the net again. Fortunately, they keep him controlled. So yes, the Storm Spirit being able to grab that Aegis, and I think maybe they got the Roshan kill too, but they lost the fight.
Still, the reason why you used the buyback was to get the Aegis. That was the big nab out of that. But And Chalice must have felt so weird. He just kept getting bounced around in and out of the pit. They kept giving him hope, but PPD with the first hit bash. As Psg Lgd, they've done a very good job of coming back in, but NIP with that decisive maneuver to use the buyback on both their cores to at least win the fight. Very good back and forth game that we've got so far.
But now they're left in a situation where if that Meepo dies again,
yeah,
he's going to be gone for like 2 minutes. And
I mean, Fada's got no farm. The game is really on the ace. Like, most of this game is going to come down to how much damage the Meepo can put out and how survivable he is. And again, it's Psg Lgd getting the jumps every time. If NIP don't get the jump, the fight's actually kind of difficult for them because it's not as bad for Storm to play against this Meepo when he gets to be the one zipping in at the end.
And it's a little bit hard when they just don't have really good hard initiation. Like, you can vacuum charge or like these little things, but there's no really guaranteed solid, I'm going to get a nice 3-second stun on somebody to start a fight. Maybe that'll come in once we have the Scythe of Ice for the Meepo. Then we'll have the proper lockdown that we can go on the Void and not have to worry about his BKB. We might just be able to burst him down before that is used.
I will say I do love Ame's build too. The decision to go for the second item BKB is like, I don't really like for damage, but I need to be able to push out lanes without being worried about dying all the time. And the Meepo represents like that real threat at all times. Like, whenever he gets jumped on, he could just die without being able to get anything off. So you have to sort of switch gears, and he definitely did. I like the way that both teams are playing.
Just some good ideas about Dota. Ame, with his BKB, is currently trying to take this tier 1 tower. They are going to be able to complete a charge and burst it down just like that. Telekinesis into the charge. What a combo from Nip. Very nicely timed.
And despite the Aegis on the side of Psg Lgd, it's in fact NIP that's playing very aggressively. And it looks like they want to go for it. Ace might want to force buyback here.
Or at least go for the Shrine.
They could be in a situation where they could be 1-1 for buybacks on both carries if they go for the high ground.
I really like the Scythe of Ice choice, but now he's thinking about a second Scotty for the stats.
I guess just get tankier.
Okay.
3,000 HP now on this Meepo.
He's committed to it, and he could just be such a big objective taker. It does leave me a bit concerned about being able to push high ground. Just purely for the fact that you're playing against a Storm Spirit and you don't have that instant disable of the Scythe, but we'll see that one again as Ame just got chained perfectly. Saksa shows up, telekinesis charge, and then boom, the Meepo just deals out the damage. As a result, tier 1 and tier 2 and bottom lane both going to be falling here unless the glyph actually allows the tier 2 to be able to heal up off the backdoor protection.
And he really doesn't care about backdoor protection.
No.
He takes that so quickly, it's going to pretty much kill back to full. Psg Lgd, they want to use their Aegis. It's only a minute left. And I think if NIP are aware of this, and they should be of the timer, just chill. You got so much more out of this Aegis timing somehow than Psg Lgd did.
Bloodstone complete for the Storm Spirit. This is going to be a really big time, and they're going to make the long jump in. Be able to find PPD and Nip. Are they going to try and blow into this? They do the Chronosphere. Locking down only the Meepos here. 33 actually running into the Chronosphere as well. And it's stolen Chrono. Saksa locks down the Storm Spirit. What a boom strike! FY nails 5 different heroes and 3 different Meepos, but will be able to get the Storm Spirit down on his Aegis. They're trying to catch FY here. They don't want to let these constant burrow strikes disrupt them. One of the Meepos quite low though. Storm and Void bursting down will be able to kill, but Ame, he actually dies here. The Meepo's dead for 2 minutes, but Storm Spirit with his BKB might just be able to finish up all these heroes. Saksa trying to get away, has a Fiend's Grip, but won't be able to last long enough to be able to use it. And Nip are dead with 3 different heroes, none of which have buyback, and Storm's going to be able to find one more here. It's going to be the Spirit Breaker. Tries to go for the charge away, but can't get it in time. 4 dead with no buyback. It's time for LGD to take some objectives.
Yeah, they're going to go down mid with this Nature's Prophet. And it felt like the Meepo had time to react to get out of there, but stuck around for half a second too late. I thought it was going to be another situation where it was a desperation grab on a PPD, and the rest of NIP disengages.
I thought that too, and then I saw him, one of his Meepos started running forward. I was like, that's the direction. You got to get out of there.
You're not winning that fight, and you're right in front of your base without buyback on Meepo for 60. This is not the ideal situation to be in, and the panel said, I mean, NIP had to do something by the 35-minute mark, take racks, take something, but it's PSG Lgd with a huge lead now. A BKB completed on the Storm. I would have really liked the Hex 2 on the Meepo, because I think now you've missed your timing with your item built to kill the Storm.
Yeah.
The Storm really just fears you because he needs BKB to be able to fight you, but if you go straight BKB, you don't really have the damage. Maybe he was able to get away with not getting BKB until much later into this game, and wasn't really punished for it.
Now, as you said, because NIP have kind of missed their timing, they're going to have to think of a plan B. All the meanwhile, PSG Lgd, both their Void and Storm Spirit, some great late game heroes, can just build into the next round of items. Is it possible for NIP to be able to take this late game, though? Because I do see some weaknesses for LGD's lineup. Not in the cores, but maybe the supports.
The way they set up fights is really nice. It's just, I think the Storm at this point is a little bit too big.
Yeah.
That's the scariest part is, the way that maybe played this game was he just baited his team. He always let everybody go in first, spot the Meepo for him, so that oftentimes what happens in this matchup is Meepo just gets 3 nets on you and you die. But this time around, if Storm comes in at the very end, once you've used all your nets and the team fight's chaotic and you're not really able to track him down and he deals more than half your HP with that long zip in, how do you really control him?
Yeah.
And it's not like Fada does so much damage that he's particularly scared of the Storm. This Darkseer, he's like a supportive core. He's not dealing damage to the Storm. He's there to just back up, initiate with the Spirit Breaker's help. But as far as actually dealing damage, not really quite there. And one of their cores at this point needs to get a Hex. Somebody needs that initiation to deal with the BKBs.
PSG Lgd maintaining an offensive front here. Have some nice vision, both in the Radiant jungle and that mid lane as well. They're just going to kind of hang around this area because they know if they get another pick off on NIP, that's probably a second lane of Brax. Especially with the Meepo, who I believe his buyback may still be on cooldown. Oh, nope, just comes up. So they've got a bit of forgiveness if they want to try and take a fight right now.
And they're all hanging around the area. We're going to go for the smoke. Let Fada push out the lanes. Does have the BKB and a cheese.
Orchid into a Bloodthorn now for the Storm Spirit. That is just going to make whatever Meepo gets targeted so squishy. They really need to be able to interrupt some of these heroes, but once the BKBs are activated, they don't have a way to stop them.
You're going to have to do it through the bounce back on the Spirit Breaker. That's really the only way. Similar to what they did when they killed Ame mid.
Yeah.
But being able to do it to both mobile cores, I think, is the real concern. As a full MKB now completed, Ace looking around the map, but not nearly as scary as he was in the mid game.
FY gets a little close to this high ground. NIP are okay with taking a fight here because they do have an active shrine available. Okay, maybe not. Actually back away from that area, behind their tier 2. And PSG Lgd, I mean, I don't blame them. There's no reason to take a fight right now.
Oh, yeah.
Just keep on farming.
You're now in the really comfortable position.
You've almost got level 25 on the Storm Spirit.
It's really good against Meepo. Just being able to drop multiple remnants. I think both teams are just waiting for the Aegis fight. I think NIP realized that if they give this up, it's most likely going to be game. Ame will have the double chrono.
Okay.
33, that was cute.
Not sure what the point of that one was.
Oh no, the Mud Golem. He's lost his home. That's kind of sad. He can't get back up there.
He's just chilling out in the river.
Well, life's tough for everyone.
Maybe he doesn't know about the horrific fate of his family.
Invisibility.
Both teams just posturing around that Roshan pit. Ame's going to get jumped on by PPD, but looks like he just wanted to stop him from getting the Arcane Rune.
All right, it's Roshan time.
Yeah, it is up.
This is where...
I mean, both teams want to fight before it comes up.
Yeah. Neither one wants to get caught inside the pit, whether it's against a vacuum wall with a Meepo jumping in or a big chronosphere. But both teams are probably going to be spurred into action finally. Whether it's going to be a smoke wraparound or just big jump. Because the Void does have that very long time walk now that he's past his level 20.
Radiant's top shrine is under attack.
Meanwhile, Fada, there's going to be a jump forward. They do immediately find the Ever Spirit person down. He's going to be able to follow that one up, though, and he's got Elme dead. He will be able to get the sword tier. Well, both of them just died, and there's no buyback of the sword tier. Chalice is dead as well. Fada, he's the lowest net worth core. I was just about to talk about him, and he just baits the perfect team fight for Nip. I can't believe LGD just committed for that.
Yeah, and Storm just didn't pop his BKB. That's why I'm so surprised. I don't think he expected the speed at which he died, but he didn't really cast anything. And NIP are just sort of...
Well,
now they're in a...
They have just sort of won.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't use his BKB. He died in half a second.
All right, weird.
They jumped into Fada.
I will say, Peter, being able to, the only BKB piercing disable that they have, being able to get the lockdown on Ame right as he jumps in and pops his BKB, that was just very on point.
We said there was one condition for them to win a team fight.
Yeah.
And that was it. And they're going to take the base real quickly.
Now, there is this still a tier 2 up at the bottom lane, so they can't go for Megas in this 30-second marker, and I'm not sure if they can actually go straight for Throne. Otherwise, they probably
can take 2 sets, though.
But they can take 2 sets for sure.
What a turnaround this game has been.
And the question is, are LGD going to be able to catch them on their way out because they're already smoked up on the Void? They're going to try and get this initiation onto the Bane. The charge in, an easy pickoff, but he does have buyback. And that Void still smoked up, but is on the right-hand side here. And Nip really want to just find more pickoffs if they can, because then they can go for Throne.
They're just going for it. The tier 3 tower, at least one of these is going to die. A tier 4 tower.
Yeah, the Storm Spirit, though.
Now the buyback comes in on the Bane.
He's back up. He can jump in. The Bane's going to buy back. And are we going to have the catch? The Storm Spirit's going to be able to get on top of the Meepo, but immediately jumps away. Not able to slow anything down here, but maybe FY has found an opening here onto the Spirit Breaker. Pretty easy kill with the bashes coming out from Ame.
They want to chase
for more now. They've got the numbers. Taking them apart. They're going to be able to get the Chronosphere now onto the Darkseer, but this is where they turn potentially. BKB activated, trying to finish up this Darkseer. Almost got him. Does manage to get up for G. So now they're turning around. BKB is now gone. A heavy commitment from Vada as well as Ace to be able to finish off this Void. And Stormseer is going to have to zip away, try and TP back. FY with a jump in. He uses scepter on himself to buy himself a little bit of time. Challenge, trying to battle.
Ace is still alive.
Ace is so low. Where's the Stormseer? He needs to be able to finish off this Meepo. Challenge will die inside of his own sprout. And the Storm is back up to full, but cannot make the long jump to find that very low Meepo.
That felt like a desperation chrono. As 33 is so tanky, he gets the cheese off, he resets the fight for his team. Ace comes in, absolutely massive.
All right, maybe. Gonna have to put together some fancy footwork here. He's gonna have to zip this,
take every one of them,
taking all the creeps to make sure the creep wave actually gets into the base.
They're gonna go for it.
And now Ace starts working on that other tier 4, 60 seconds for the Void as well as the Furion. Long jump into left-hand side instead, just killing some of these creeps, but not actually trying to stop Ace. Now another Yule Scepter, and Ace is just focusing on the throne. Storm's going to come up with an answer. There's going to be a Bro Strike in, pulling down these heroes. Bean's grip on the side as well. The BKB activated. There's a Refresher Shard coming out for 33, but they're just going to take the throne. They make the comeback off of one massive fight. Take the Roshan, and from there, close out this game 1. The Meepo, you have to watch out for. You gotta watch out for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They've